Another week in the books. It was a good week. It's, I think it's slowly getting a little bit cooler, so that's been helping a lot. But yeah, I think I'm also starting to fall into the rhythm a little bit more. My body's definitely adjusting a bit more, adapting a bit more, so it's kind of getting used to the volume. I'm also lifting twice a week as well. So essentially I'm working out 7 days a week, which is, I don't know, I don't really mind. We'll see how sustainable it is. I'm doing my best diet-wise. So I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight to get a little bit lighter. Because that, will certainly kind of increase the efficiency of motion. If you think about like cars and stuff like that, it's like things that aren't either providing traction or propulsion aren't really helpful. So if you're carrying around a bunch of body fat, well, that's not moving you. It's just making you harder to move. So I'm trying to lean down a little bit on that. Nothing crazy. So I'm using the Macro Factor app to kind of cut down a little bit. I think I was up to, when I started, I was around 174. I was trying to maintain that because I was trying to put on muscle and lose weight and kind of play the recomp game. But I decided that I'm just going to set the Macro Factor app to lose weight at like a gradual amount, and then just kind of see how I feel. So it doesn't like really aggressively cut calories. It gives you some options to, based on what you're doing. So if you're like, I'm lifting and doing endurance training, what is your priority? And I put endurance. So, it allocates a little bbit more carbs. And then because you're lifting, you're going to have like a good amount of protein in there as well. So they try to keep the fat a little bit lower, and the calories are the main things that are restricted. Because to an extent it is a simple equation. More calories out than in, consistently, you lose weight. It's just doing so in a healthy way to where you don't feel like garbage while you're doing it, and you don't, after you stop, like rebound right back up to, if you lose 10 pounds and you rebound up 5 pounds of fat, like, was it really worth it if you felt like crap the whole time? Probably not. So yeah, experimenting with that. Otherwise, the week went great. So Monday I had a progression run. So it wasn't too bad. It ended up being just over 4.5 miles. So 3/4 mile warm up, half a mile at a 9:05, a mile at an 8:35, a mile at an 8:15, and then half a mile at 7:55 with a 90-second rest. To cap off with a 3/4 mile cool down. So that was a hard one, but it definitely felt good. It's definitely hot. Mostly hit my target goals, so that was good. And then a couple days later, I had another 5-mile easy run on the 20th. So average pace in 9:39, so just kind of cruising around the neighborhood. The next day on the 21st, I had pyramids. So it was a 1.5 mile warm up, 0.12 mile at a 6:50 with a 60-second rest, then 0.25 at a 7:05 and a 90-second rest, 0.5 at a 7:35 with a 90-second rest, 0.75 at a 7:50 with a 120-second rest, half a mile at a 7:35 with a 90-second walking rest, and then 0.25 at a 7:05, 90-second rest, 0.12, 6:50 at a 60-second rest. So you can kind of see how the pyramid works. You start at 6:50, you increase the mileage but decrease the pace and increase the resting usually, and then reverse it back down. So you start at a 6:50 at 0.12 and you finish at a 6:50 at 0.12. So pretty much hit all of my targets except for like a couple of them. So I was a little shy of target pace, but that'll happen sometimes, especially with the heat. And I've noticed my watch, I don't know, it's probably just also in my head too, where I've been thinking about getting a Garmin watch, and the way my brain works is, like many people's, I will start to find reasons why I should do that. So there's that. So I'm like, okay, if I get a Garmin watch, there's no cellular, so that saves me $15 a month. Don't think there's like, I'm sure there probably is, but I don't really think I plan on doing like a protection plan or whatever, so where it's like $5 a month. So yeah, it would effectively save me $20 a month before the taxes. So I'm like justifying it that way. The battery life is getting to be a little bit of a pain in the butt. It just isn't what it used to be, so it dies a lot faster. You know, that's another justification that my brain's come up with. And then just kind of finally, something that's sort of been rashing up recently, and I know like, it's really like the GPS. You know, because when you run the Run app and you have your headphones attached to the watch, it'll kind of like frequently give you prompts where it's like speed up slightly, slow down slightly. This is what the target pace is, this is what your current pace is. Like, so you kind of, it'll help you stay on your target paces. Pretty slow to do so, but assuming you have the time in that length of period. So like the previous run at like 0.12 miles, I don't know if that would have really been, it would have like sent me the prompt in that period, because like by the time it realizes you're too slow or too fast, you're like pretty much done with the rep. But the one thing I've noticed with the Ultra is it'll just like drop GPS almost, and so it'll be prompting me to like speed up, current pace, you know, whatever, target pace, whatever, and then I'll just pretty much keep running at the same pace because I've started to learn where the dead spots are. Yeah, and so like I'll just run like another like 10 yards, and then it'll be like on pace. I'm like, I definitely didn't speed up at all. I wasn't going around a corner, or I wasn't doing anything that can kind of get like a little weird with GPS. So I know with the 3, they're planning to do a bunch of things, multi-band GPS. Nothing about the battery. Nothing about the battery being longer. So that's the big thing for me. It's just like, now that I'm pretty much working out every single day, I have to charge my watch every single day. I don't know, I'm kind of weighing pros and cons. You know, it's like, get a brand new Apple Watch Ultra, it's probably gonna be $799. Or I can get the Garmin 970, the Forerunner 970, that has a lot more data points. I'm like really interested in this new alarm that they rolled out, to where it will track your sleep, obviously, like the Apple Watch will do, pretty much Fitbit, like most things will do. It tracks your sleep, but if you put an alarm in it, it'll do its best to try to figure out what stage of sleep you're in. So if you're like in deep sleep, like a 30-minute window, so say you set your alarm for 7 a.m. Between 6:30 and 7 a.m., if you move into like a light stage of sleep, like out of deep or out of core, out of REM, and move into like a light stage of sleep or something like that, it'll set the alarm off then. Because if you wake up during those lighter stages of sleep, you wake up feeling more recharged and like just kind of awake, you know, like almost like you have woken naturally. I mean, we all know how that feels when you're like dead asleep and your alarm goes off and you kind of wake up with that like, what year is it? kind of vibe. So I'm really interested in that. It's a recent update they just came out with. It's got like 5 different bands of GPS, and kind of interested in the heart rate monitor, the HRM 600 as well, which is kind of dumb expensive considering what it is. It's like $170, but it does have a lot of data points, and I just love data points. So we'll see. It's something I'm thinking about, and it just kind of popped into my mind because throughout my runs, there's been some sections to where it says I'm below pace, and I just know that I'm not because I haven't slowed down or sped up any after that, and then it'll be like on pace. So there'll be like 10-15 seconds of it saying I'm going slower than I am is somewhat irrelevant because I am still doing the same amount of work. You know, if I'm in a plan that is like pretty specific to where you have like pretty narrow windows of paces that it wants you to be in, and it's using AI to, you know, I use the Run app, and it uses AI to move around your paces and estimate your like race time and stuff like that based on whether or not you're staying in these ranges during your speed workouts. So if it's not doing that accurately, it's going to be making decisions on my plan based off of that data. It can kind of all, a little like 1% here, 1% there, 1% here, 5 workouts a week. It's 5% off every week potentially. So, but yeah, other than that, I've been getting annoyed with that, but other than that, the week's been going well. A couple days ago on Thursday, I think it was, or I guess it'll be Friday. I had to move around my schedule a little bit this week due to a couple things. But I just had another 5-mile easy run, so 5-mile flats. Just kept that at, it says no faster than 9:35. So I ran it at a 9:37, which is pretty good. Considering I did it 6:30 in the morning before work. And it was still pretty warm out, so I'm really happy with that. And then today was my long run, but this week they decided to, rather than just say, hey, knock out 9.5 miles, don't go faster than this, don't go slower than this pace. It was it was a progressive repeat. So it was 2 miles warm up, so just conversational pace, putting along. 2 miles at a 9:05, 2 miles at an 8:45, then 2 miles at a 9:05, and then finishing up a mile and a half at an 8:35. So it went pretty well. The first conversational pace, there's no tempo there, or there's no target there, so there's no goal to really hit. They just don't want you to go faster than a 9:35. So I did my 2 miles at 9:05, hit that target. 2 miles at 8:45, hit that target. 2 miles at 9:05, hit that target. And then again, it just kind of got me. I was just like, okay, so it's 9:05, 8:45, 9:05. So it's doing like a pyramid. It's going up and then going back down. So surely my next, however much to wrap up the run, is just going to be conversational pace. And I got to get out of the habit because I did this last week too. Or maybe, no, I did that the week before. Last week was a deload week. I did that the week before, and I was just like, oh, okay, now it's just conversational pace. I went to slow down, and it was half a mile at a fast pace. I think it wanted me at an 8:05 or something, and I was just like, what? So I had to try to quickly rally. And then it's kind of mental game where you find yourself sort of rationing out your energy. Man, I got caught again. I did it again. So my last mile and a half at an 8:35 was the target. I didn't hit the target. So it was supposed to be an 8:35, and I think I managed a 8:54. So it was a bit slower than I wanted, or than the app wanted me to, but that's all right. Kind of got caught, but nice thing about runners, they have AI in it. It kind of just says hey, you did a good job throughout the whole run, for the most part. That final rep was hard, but also on this route, there's a lot of elevation on it too. It's harder than just running flat. There's a little extra built into there. So, and it says that too because it tracks the elevation change. So it says hey, even with all the elevation change in this run, you managed to mostly stay on pace. Struggled on the last rep, but not bad. Did a good job. So I pleased my AI overlord this week. But yeah, overall, this week was great. Felt really good. Of course, coming off a deload week, was feeling a little more energetic. I've stayed on top of my knee. My left knee, I've mentioned before, was kind of giving me a hard time. So I've really stepped up my flexibility. So I've been doing a lot of stretching. So I pretty much stretch once or twice a day. So I'll usually, if I'm running in the morning, I hit a couple stretches beforehand. Really focusing on my hips and quads, which tend to be particularly tight because I spend most of my time sitting down. So trying to loosen those up, and then I'll do some glute, ham, and calf stretches before every run. And do stuff with the hip adductors and hip abductors, trying to keep them basically just hitting everything a little bit before my run. And then for a while there, I was icing my knee after the run for 15 minutes, or I'd ice it at night. But I also stretch at night as well. So a lot of stretching, and it's really been improving. I've been noticing kind of a decrease in back pain, lower back pain, just, sitting down all the time, that kind of posterior chain gets a little weird. So yeah, that's helped a lot. And now like this knee thing is like completely gone. Like knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but staying on top of the stretching, there's nothing. I've stopped icing it because I don't feel any pain in it. And there was a period where if like I just tapped on my knee, I would feel pain, and that's gone. So I think there's just some minor ligament irritation. It's probably my MCL, which is a little scary because I was getting joint instability to where my knee would kind of give out on me and kind of like buckle when I was walking sometimes, or if I would stand up or go down steps. So I was a little freaked out that I had a tear in it. But between all the stretching and icing, a little bit of Advil mixed in there as well, seemed to be good. So I'm just going to keep up with the stretching and hope it doesn't come back. So otherwise, I'm like feeling great. I remember my last marathon prep, I was getting a lot of like foot pain, or not pain, but like just like soreness, where I've had to like roll out my feet all the time because they were just always feeling tight and painful. Haven't really had that. Mileage is not quite crazy yet, but it's getting there. It's definitely ramping up. But yeah, so I had to push the long run around then Saturday. It's actually Sunday today as I filmed it, so I ran this morning. But yeah, 9.5 miles. Overall pace was a 9:08 at an hour 26 overall. So did pretty good. The run app is kind of funny. Week 1 was a single day. It was the first run, and then week 2 after that. So technically they're calling this week 5, but yeah, realistically it's kind of like the 4th week. But yeah, doing great, and then looking forward to another week of running. Unfortunately, because I had to move, I was just feeling really tired yesterday, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to be productive on a 9.5 mile run, especially one to where it's not just like a conversational plod along and get the mileage under you. This was like a working long run. So I pushed it to today. Spent a lot of time yesterday just kind of eating right, resting, relaxing, just kind of hung out, edited a video, got that published. But the kind of downside of that is I have a run tomorrow and Tuesday, and I think Wednesday. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a lot to begin with. Yeah, it'll be all right. I'm just gonna, again, keep the food up. I've been really paying attention to that. It's one thing that like my calcium is routinely low, so I've been really trying to push that up a lot. So I've started making like a protein sludge at night. I did it last night for the first time, and it was actually really good. Otherwise, yeah, great week after a deload. Felt strong for all of it. There's a few days where it's really hot, so the workouts were really hard, but that's the way it goes. Today was great. It was super, almost 1 o'clock now, and the temperature is 81. When I ran this morning at I think I made it there at 7:30, 8. It was like 73, 74, and felt like that temperature. So it was very much a hint of what it's going to be like in the coming months. So I'm looking forward to trying to be cool, or try to stay cool and manage hydration. I'm looking to exchange that for trying to stay warm enough, because it does get pretty cold here. So, but yeah, thanks for stopping by, and here's to another week in the books. I'll catch you in the next one.